Well, it looks like they have a verdict or questions. Well, that was interesting. We had an alert that the lawyers were being called back in, and the lawyers were being called back in, and then some people thought it was a verdict, some people thought it was a question, and you heard it here. Judge Cannoni said, well, guess what? We heard there was a verdict, and we heard there was not a verdict. So, kind of interesting. She said the judge did that they should put it in an envelope and save it. We don't know what they're putting in an envelope and saving. I mean, this case has been a mystery from day one. And at this point, the people that are following the trial of Karen Reed have put the camera back up on the fan, which means, we're not allowed to see what's going on. We're not allowed to see what's happening. We're not allowed to know what's happening. But what a mystery. What a mystery. We got word, about 25 minutes ago that the attorneys were all being called back into the courtroom. And they were called back into the courtroom. And some people said, well, they thought that it was a jury question. Other people actually reported that it was a verdict. So here we go. And someone told me we don't have any audio. I couldn't find Lainey. I know she's around. She usually does all of this stuff. Lainey does all of this stuff. So tell me now. Do you have audio? Can you hear me now? Because I think that Lainey not being here, I didn't have the audio up, but here we are. And we thought that there would be a verdict. It seemed that way on Tuesday. Thank you, Aiden Kiramad, for telling me that you can hear us now. Kind of a false alarm. I've been in my office here working today, and I promised that if and when there was a verdict, we would come on live. And so we had a false start here. And I know there's other people. I appreciate the few of you who are here with me talking and listening. I know I had an audio problem, but I appreciate they're here. I know there are a lot of people that have been on all day, but I've been working. I've got a couple of cases I've got to prepare, and I've got to kind of watch over what's going on. But here we are. So it is now 2:29 in the afternoon. Some people said, oh, wouldn't that be interesting if there was a verdict at 2:27? But there was no verdict at 2:27. So here we are. This is the third full day of deliberations by the jury. They started Friday the 13th in Norfolk County Superior Court in Dedham, and they
deliberated on that day for about 2 hours. No one really seriously thought that there would be a verdict on that day. But they came back on Monday, the 16th, deliberated all day, Tuesday, the 17th, and now we are at Wednesday, the 18th. A lot of people thought that there would, in fact, be a verdict on this date because, yesterday on Tuesday, the 17th, notes were sent out. There were 3 notes, and then there was another note, and it appeared that the court gave some rather, the jury essentially wanted things to be cleared up, and they really weren't cleared up. They were just, kind of, in fact, one of the questions was called to have been calling for hypotheticals. So, let me take down, I'll keep watching. What a mystery that, it seemed that there was going to be a verdict, and then there wasn't a verdict. So let's go through some of the documents because they were kind of interesting, we'll just say. We'll just say that some of them were kind of interesting. And I know I have them in here. And if I can bring them up. The first thing we should look at is, there had been a motion to amend the verdict slip, and the judge said, no, we're not going to do it. Then all of a sudden, they did amend the verdict slip. And in my view, it's even more confusing than it was before. I know there are people out there, I'm not going to mention any names, tempted to, but there are people out there that say, oh, sure, the corrected jury form actually did clean things up. I don't think it did. I really don't think it did. So I'm trying to find my documents, not having any luck finding my documents. And so the jury verdict slip was amended to redo and rephrase and recalculate that troublesome count 2, which was a problem. And although some people have expressed the opinion that they thought that the judge cleared it up, in my mind, it's even more confusing than it was before. So I want to thank you if you're here. Give me some comments while I struggle to find the documents that I do really want to share with you, because there are a couple people who've been talking all day, and I respect them for talking all day. But the deal is that some of these documents are just crazy. Okay, here we go. What do people think? I do have a few people in the chat. I do have a few people in the live here, and I apologize that we thought there was going to be a verdict. There was no verdict. How can you say you have a verdict and then change your mind? Lacey, I've never heard of that. I've been practicing for over 30 years in Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and I've never heard of anything like that. I mean, either you have a verdict or you do not have a verdict. So I can't explain that one. I'll tell you that. It makes no sense at all. There were 3 charges. The verdict slip was somewhat clear on counts 1 and 3, but count 2 was a mess. It was a hot mess. And then the attorneys for the defense, brought a motion to amend it. No, we're not going to do that. Then when word came out that the jurors were in fact confused, okay, that was amended for the count 2, which is the motor vehicle manslaughter while driving under the influence. And so, it was kind of a crazy thing. I can't answer that question. How can you say you have a verdict and then change your mind? Makes no sense. Aiden Kiramud, not the other Aiden, but Aiden Kiramud says, this case is really just the definition of the word chaotic, isn't it? Yes. Yes, it is. Solnor Foster says, this is proof that there's a CW plant on the jury. I don't know. I'm not going to say that out loud. But, it is kind of crazy. It's kind of nuts. And so Yeah, I know there are other podcasts out there. I know, but what are they doing other than talking? That's all I'm doing. And I have a McMath saying, "This is insane. Thanks for going live. Thank you for being here." Kristen Joyce says, "No, this proves the form is confusing AF." Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. It is confusing. And you know what? Makes little sense. One thing that I took note of was that one of the questions that came back from the jury was, what about the leaving the scene of the drunk driving charge? That is confusing. We don't know. There are all these other charges that we can take as alternatives. And the defense, Hank Brennan, jumped up and he wanted to pin it to the 12:30 approximate time. The jury had asked whether they should consider the 12:30 approximate time or the 5 o'clock approximate time. And the defense said, no, it's real. That should be up to the jury. And the judge said, well, what does the indictment say? I don't have the indictment. I don't have the indictment. Folks, guess what? She's the judge and she had two court clerks there. And she could have looked it up. I looked at my computer. I thought I had it. I didn't have it. But within 3 minutes, I had it. Now, the judge has two court clerks in front of her and a whole bunch of them in another room in the clerk's office. She has Tori sitting in front of her and she has Clerk Jim sitting in front of him. And, I don't have the indictment. Well, within a couple of minutes, I pulled it up off of the court's website. And here it is. McMath, thank you, McMath. This is insane. Thanks for going online. Thank you, Mick. And so here's the indictment. It's plain as day. The judge said she didn't have it. Well, I came up with it. I just went electronically onto the court's website, and there it is. Here is count one. Here is count two, the one that was at issue. So when the jury asked, should we take the 12:30 time to determine whether or not she was operating under the influence, or the 5 o'clock time? The question, well, what did the indictment say? Here's the indictment. The judge said she didn't have it. I got it within minutes. And it doesn't, as many indictments do, they're very general. They bring them in pretty broad terms. And all it says is Karen Reed of Mansfield in the county of Bristol, on or about January 29th, 2022, at Canton in the county of Norfolk, did operate a motor vehicle upon a way as defined in Mass General Laws, Chapter 90, Section 1, or in a place to which the public has a right of access, or upon a way or in a place to which members of the public have access as invitees or licensees, with a percentage. Now, this just pretty much parrots the words of the statute. And it alleges that she had a percentage by weight of alcohol in her blood of 8/100ths or greater, or while under the influence of intoxicating liquor, and did so operate said motor vehicle so that the lives and safety of the public might be endangered. And by such wanton and reckless conduct so described did cause the death of another person, to wit, John O'Keefe, in violation of Mass General Law, Chapter 265, Section 13 and a half. That's it. That's it for count two of the indictment. That's all it says. But the point was that the judge said she didn't have it. It's right. I didn't have it either. I thought I had it on my computer, but I didn't. But within minutes, literally, I was able to bring it up from the court's own electronic website. So now if I was able to get it in 2 minutes, why weren't they? Yes, some of my fans are texting me as we speak. I can't read some of the texts. I don't think that YouTube would appreciate some of the language. Let's see if I can clean it up. I'd like to join you. I can't. I have 7 kids here. 3 are not mine. I'm babysitting. They're about to get picked up. This is, I can't say that word, insane. How long is this going to go on for? Well, I can't answer your question. Then I have another person that says, somebody is awesome, and I would agree. So go ahead and watch that channel. See if I care. So here's Solnor Foster says you shouldn't be able to change OWI after 3 years and no accurate blood test, in my opinion. Well, in principle, I agree with you. In principle, I think you're right about that. I believe, and I'm watching, folks. If we do get the jury coming back again, it's now 2:39 Eastern time, and I'm missing what I had planned to do with this time was to be watching another hearing. But here we are. And so I've got another screen here where I am watching the court. If there is another jury callback, whether it's for a question or for a verdict, I'll let you know. But how weird is that the judge said, we heard that there was a verdict, and then we heard there wasn't a verdict, and something was sealed into an envelope. I don't know. So Solnor Foster, the answer to your question, you shouldn't be able to charge OUI after 3 years and no accurate blood test. Well, the statute, I believe, on that one is 6 years, and they were noticed of it indirectly by way of the fact that the OUI is a lesser included offense. Not that I don't think that some clever defense attorneys couldn't say, you didn't follow the letter of the law, you didn't plead it with enough specificity. I think those arguments could be made. Whether those arguments would be successful or not, I really don't know. I don't know, but I think there would be some arguments made under Massachusetts law. Rain Fuzzy Del Monte says one of the jury is Commonwealth dummy, insane. That has been said. That has been said. Kenora Spielsman says this judge is as bent as a corkscrew. Then Infermiar04 says, thank you for your coverage. So let's take a look at this verdict form that was said to clear things up. And you tell me, dear viewers, for those of you that are out there, you tell me if this cleared anything up. And so that was the indictment. Here is the amended verdict slip. We're going to look at it right now. And what I have on the screen now are the actual charges. What I want is the verdict slip as it was amended. Here we go. Let me see if I can make that just a little bit more clear, and go ahead and laugh, because I see people that have a lot more subscribers than me fiddle around and futz around with these things themselves. And so here we go. This is the amended. Why did I see it on the screen? Remove it. Bring it back on. And what I'm looking at here is the verdict slip. And for some reason, you don't see it too. But it in my mind, did not really clarify anything. It didn't make things any more clear than they were before. And let's see if we can bring it back up. Donna Lembo is with us. Thank you. Thank you, Donna. Yes, that's the other hearing I was going to be watching right now, the BK hearing. I'll catch up on it. I'll get it from the Idaho news source, East Idaho News. Throws those up on YouTube later on. So I'll watch that later on. And Donna, we will be dropping an episode on Kohberger. The question in that case, in the hearing that's being held right now, is whether there will be a continuance of the trial. My guess is no, but you don't know. Judge Hippler was pretty angry with the leaks to NBC Dateline. He was pretty angry. That could change his mind. I don't know. But there's another documentary that's coming out apparently on Prime, on Amazon Prime. And there's a book, the Patterson book, that's coming out just before the trial. So the judge isn't happy about that. The judge isn't happy about the leaks. The judge isn't happy about anything. But he was pretty certain that he wanted to go ahead and have the trial on time. So that's one issue. We'll address that in an issue in a episode that will drop on Sunday. And we will drop an issue on this case on Saturday. So I don't know why I can't get rid of that one. I want to get rid of that and bring in a new one. So in any event, what I'm trying to bring up here is the verdict slip. that was confusing as it could be. The verdict slipped changed only the second page for the second offense, manslaughter while operating a motor vehicle and under the influence of liquor. And I would challenge anyone to tell me if they really think that it helps clarify anything. Because in my mind, taking a look at it, it really didn't clarify anything at all. So what I'm thinking of doing is taking a break, thanking all you good people that decided to join me, and come back if there is a verdict, because this was a false alarm. This was obviously a false alarm, and I want to thank everybody for joining me, and we will come back. So we're going to put this on pause, and we'll come back if there really is a verdict. So thank you. Have a good one.